deep beneath the shattered halls of Moria, where ancient stone whispers secrets of lost glory and awe-inspiring terror sleeps in silence. The Balrog, known to many as Durin's Bane, lies hidden in the darkness, its fiery presence both a remnant of primordial chaos and a reluctant guardian of solitude. Amid the turbulent conflicts of Middle-earth, one question burns as brightly as the creature's inner flame. Why did the Dark Lord Sauron never seek to harness this living inferno as a weapon in his war of domination? To unravel this enigma, we must first understand the very nature of the Balrog and its place in the grand tapestry of Middle-earth's history. Born in the earliest days of the world as a spirit of fire and shadow, the Balrog was once among the mighty servants of Morgoth, the first Dark Lord, embodying the raw, untamed fury of creation itself. Yet even in its destructive potential, the Balrog was not a mindless beast. Over countless ages it retreated into the deep recesses of the earth, choosing a path of isolation over unending strife. The creature's solitary existence under the misty mountains was not born of weakness, but of a profound desire to remain apart from the endless cycle of conflict and conquest that had defined its tumultuous past. Sauron, too, was no stranger to the ancient and mysterious powers of the world. A Maya, one of the lesser divine spirits among the immortal Ainur, he had once served under greater lords before forging his own dark destiny. With cunning intellect and an insatiable lust for order and control, Sauron reimagined chaos as a means to impose his will upon Middle-earth. His strategy was meticulous. He concentrated his strength into the creation of the One Ring, a potent artifact designed to command the loyalty of lesser beings such as orcs and men. In this sense, Sauron's vision was one of disciplined dominion, a carefully orchestrated symphony of subjugation and fear. Yet when it came to the Balrog, Sauron's ambitions met an insurmountable challenge. For all their shared origins as Maya, Sauron and Durin's Bane were fundamentally different in temperament and purpose. Sauron's power lay in his ability to manipulate, to weave intricate webs of deceit and order among those who were willing or forced to follow him. His armies, though fearsome, were comprised of creatures whose wills could be bent through sheer force or coercion. The Balrog, however, was a creature of ancient chaos, steeped in the primordial forces that had long since eluded mortal command. Its existence was marked by a fierce independence, a deep-seated aversion to the very idea of servitude. One might imagine that Sauron, with his formidable might, could have attempted to coerce the Balrog into his service through displays of overwhelming force or cunning persuasion. Yet even if the Dark Lord had approached the Balrog with his customary blend of intimidation and manipulation, the outcome would likely have been the same. The Balrog's fiery spirit, once kindled by the rage of ancient wars, had cooled into a state of wary seclusion. Its solitary vigil beneath the earth was not an act of submission, but a deliberate choice to remain apart from the endless cycles of violence that plagued the surface. To summon the Balrog from its dark refuge would have been to force it into a role that ran contrary to its very nature, compelling it to abandon its cherished isolation in favor of a master whose vision was alien to its own. Moreover, within the divine hierarchy of the Ainur, Sauron did not possess the absolute authority required to simply recruit a fellow Maya, especially one as ancient and potent as the Balrog. Although Sauron's strength was considerable, his mind a labyrinth of schemes and his will an unyielding force, the Balrog was not a subordinate creature that could be easily coerced. Both beings were born of primordial fire and shadow, yet each had evolved along a divergent path. While Sauron sought to impose a rigid, ordered dominion over Middle-earth, the Balrog embodied the raw, untamable power of primordial chaos, a power that even Sauron's cunning could not fully command. Another key factor lies in the strategic calculus of the Dark Lord himself. At the time of the War of the Ring, Sauron's plans were already in full, devastating swing. His legions of orcs, trolls, and other dark minions advanced with relentless precision, their ranks maintained by an iron discipline and a fearsome unity of purpose. In contrast, the Balrog, by its very nature, was a wild card, a force of untamed destruction that might prove as much a liability as an asset if forced into the structured service of the Dark Lord. Sauron's empire was built on order, and the controlled chaos of his armies was key to his strategy. Incorporating a being as unpredictable as the Balrog could have disrupted the delicate balance of power he so carefully maintained. Furthermore, the Balrog's role in Middle-earth was not entirely negative from Sauron's perspective. Its very presence in Moria served as a natural deterrent, a barrier that kept potential enemies, especially the dwarves, from reclaiming the lost halls and stirring up trouble on the fringes of Sauron's domain. In leaving the Balrog undisturbed, Sauron effectively maintained a strategic asset, a fearsome guardian whose latent threat kept dissent and rebellion at bay. Disturbing this ancient terror could have inadvertently freed a power beyond even Sauron's control, one that might have rebelled against him or sown further chaos in a world already on the brink of collapse. It is also worth considering the philosophical contrast between Sauron and the Balrog. Sauron's vision was one of calculated dominance, a cold, mechanical order that reduced everything to mere components in his grand design. The Balrog, however, was the embodiment of raw, elemental passion. Its existence was not measured by strategic utility, but by the intense, unbridled expression of ancient fury. This intrinsic difference meant that the Balrog would never have found common cause with a master who sought to subdue and control every facet of existence. For the Balrog, there was no honor in serving as a mere weapon. Its destiny was intertwined with the primal forces of fire and shadow, destined to burn as a solitary beacon of repressed defiance. In the end, Sauron's failure, or perhaps his deliberate choice, to enlist the Balrog was not a shortcoming of his dark will, but rather an acknowledgement of the profound complexities inherent in the nature of power. The Balrog's silence in the war against the free peoples of Middle-earth was a testament to the fact that some forces, no matter how immense, are not meant to be tamed. They exist beyond the confines of mortal ambition, their power a wild, untouchable flame that refuses to be bottled up for the sake of conquest. Thus, the absence of the Balrog from Sauron's ranks stands as a subtle but significant reminder of the limits of domination. Even the Dark Lord, with all his cunning and might, could not force a union with a force that was, by its very essence, incompatible with his vision of order. The Balrog remained a solitary guardian of the deep, a relic of an age when the world was young and ungovernable, and in doing so, it preserved a fragment of the untamed wildness that Sauron so desperately sought to eradicate. Ultimately, the choice to leave the Balrog undisturbed was a strategic masterstroke, albeit one born of circumstance rather than direct intent. Sauron understood, whether consciously or not, that some ancient powers were best left to their own devices. In preserving the Balrog's isolation, he ensured that the delicate equilibrium of fear and control within his realm remained intact, a balance that might have been shattered had he attempted to bend this ancient terror to his will. In this light, the Balrog's role in Middle-earth transcends the simplistic notion of a weapon to be wielded. It becomes a symbol of the wild, unyielding forces of nature that even the most powerful of Dark Lords must respect. And while Sauron marshaled legions of creatures to enforce his iron rule, he was also bound by the immutable truth that not all power can or should be harnessed. Some forces are destined to remain as silent, eternal sentinels in the depths, their flames a reminder of a time when the world was forged in chaos and wonder. So, as we ponder the mysteries of Middle-earth and the myriad paths taken by its ancient denizens, we are left with a poignant lesson: that the true measure of power lies not in the ability to dominate every aspect of existence, but in the wisdom to know which forces must be left free. In the case of the Balrog, its solitary vigil beneath Moria was its greatest strength, a living embodiment of the untamable, incandescent spirit of creation, forever beyond the reach of Sauron's dark designs. Thank you for joining this journey into the heart of darkness and the ancient mysteries of Middle-earth. May the echoes of these timeless questions continue to inspire wonder and reflection on the nature of power, destiny, and the enduring battle between order and chaos.